Okay, we're gonna talk about how I got short squeezed on the front side by TRNX for a loss first, and then how I flipped long and switch bias. So first of all, this stock was gapping up due to no news, right? And it's not a low float stock. It has about 15 million shares float, 33 million market cap. The only thing was that it was easy to borrow, but the stock was gapping up due to no news. So like honestly, this thing caught me off guard. So you can see I started shorting here, small size. I was ready to add at the pop here. You can see I added here at this pop at 2/15. I was anticipating, a flush beneath VWAP and just sell off. But no, I'm glad I covered some, but I only covered a small size because, I was, like many other short sellers, I'm sure, complacent. I was thinking, I top tick this crap. This is gonna sell off, and nope, it's just freaking like this squeeze with this kind of volume just like came out of nowhere, and I got stopped out. I got stopped out here. I was like, holy crap, man, this kind of volume is extremely bullish. So that's when I flipped long. And I'm glad I did instead of keeping on adding to my short. Remember, this stock was easy to borrow as well, and usually ETB stocks can squeeze. But I was thinking that this is not a low float. I didn't expect this kind of squeeze. But when what you're planning and expecting is proven wrong, you have to get out. You don't have to flip long like I did, but you just have to cut your short position, which is exactly what I did. And I'm happy I followed my plan and cut my loss, because otherwise I could be squeezed all the way up here. Not fun. The other one, this one ended up with a small loss. So I was actually leaning into the stock bullish. I was thinking that, it's gonna wash down and curl around this area and then retest the highs. And you can see I shorted here because the momentum was to the selling side. I was seeing, this selling candle. That's why I was thinking, okay, this has more room down to 550s. So I shorted and I covered it here. So I was out of this short position here, and I actually got in long here and long here. And because I was thinking, okay, this is the curl that I was looking for to retest the red to green and go back to the highs. And you can see I was completely wrong on this. In hindsight, this would have been where I should have added in short. But, I still cut my losses, stuck with my plan. So you can see I cut my long here a little bit too late. The stop should have been set a lot tighter. So I basically gave back all my short profit from earlier. And then I was red on this trade. And I flipped short, and then I scalped it for a little bit because the momentum, the selling was extremely heavy. But overall, I'm extremely happy with how I reacted to the price action on both CLVS and TRNX. So the first hit on the day today was kind of frustrating. It was TRNX. So this was a runner from yesterday. You can see yesterday it sold off from 280s all the way down to $2 near the end of the day. There was no bounce. You bet all the sellers were still trapped. And that's why I came in leaning bearish on the stock, and that's why I shorted the pops at the open to 210s. I shorted. I thought that was a great entry, and I added on this weak bounce here at 197. And then I was doing well. I was thinking, okay, if it breaks down, I'll add to full size. If it breaks down the 189 mark, then I'll add to full size, and the stock has room to fall all the way down to 160s. And there was breaking news out, and I see this volume come in, and I didn't know the news at first. Then I heard Benzinga, Charlie saying TRNX, they filed report saying that they are in compliance with NASDAQ again. It's positive news. So I had to cover just in case, you can see in hindsight the volume wasn't as strong as the buying volume yesterday. So it wasn't like it's going to squeeze to 260s again. But when there's news, I just have to cut my trade and come out and reassess, right? So I cut all my short here. I took a loss right here on this cover. This is a green arrow, so it's a cover. And that's when I started to reassess. Like I said earlier, just because there's news, it doesn't mean it's going to squeeze to the moon again and retest the highs from yesterday. But I just want to get out of the short and reassess. I can always re-enter. And which is exactly what I did. You can see I re-entered here and re-entered here. After seeing that this volume, after some observation and some waiting, there's no brand new volume coming in. This is all just a short squeeze. Other people like me were holding it short and getting squeezed out. So if there's no fresh buyer coming in, then the stock is not going to run, right? And at the same time, we were having APDN running along with OPGN. So when there's two fresh runners, everyone's gonna forget about this one from yesterday. So that's why I reshorted here and here. And I started covering at the wash here just to recoup some of my losses from earlier. I wish I held it longer. And you can see eventually it fell to 190s. But ultimately, it still didn't break down to 180s and 160s like I had anticipated. But I covered everything here because it looks like it was starting to hold. Volume was drying out. And I wasn't sure if there's gonna be, a rebound like this at later on. So that's why I covered. Small wing on this name after the re-entering, but the first cut, I don't regret it at all. I would do this again. So the next stock I want to talk about is a win, but it's also very frustrating. SLDB. So this stock is a biotech. They were notified by the FDA that the company, one of the drugs in the pipeline, is placed on clinical hold because there were patients reacting negatively for the second time to this drug. So this is devastating news for this company, right? That's why the stock gapped down from $11 down to $3. And there were a lot of people trying to buy the dead cat bounce. Yeah, you can see that it did bounce from $3 to 360s, but I want to argue that wasn't that strong of a bounce because I was anticipating a bounce to $4 to reshort. And there was some resistance around the 350 mark. You can see it was holding beneath that mark for an extended amount of time. I actually got in short really little pre-market because I just want to be part of this trade, right? I want to get in and start looking at how it's trading. I got in and added into this after I see how hard it rejected the 350s area. So I added here. And after I added into full size here, this is where I was anticipating a wash like this and a breakdown like this, right? But it didn't happen. I can see this volume coming into this candle, and that's where I covered everything for a 5-cent loss on this one. Just in case, because I'm already full size in, I can always re-enter later after, it confirms that it's breaking down beneath VWAP, which is exactly what I did here. So it retest 350s and it failed like really miserably, and that's where I added short and added to full size, and then it was kind of holding for a while, and you can say that, I need to work on my patience, and I agree with you actually. Like I covered some here. I was thinking that, I just want to be careful with this one. I already took a paper cut 5-cent loss earlier. So in hindsight, of course, I wish I didn't take it off because you can see it just starts working right away. But I took some off and I still have some size left. I should have added here, but I did not. I need to work on adding to my winners even more and working on my patience. On this wash, this just confirms my exact thesis here because when it breaks $3, it has room all the way to 260s on the daily chart. Did it get there? And did I hold that far? Of course, I did not. I added it even bigger here, right here, thinking this is gonna flush right here like this and flush down to 280s and 260s. When it starts holding and the volume starts drying out, like that was super frustrating. That's why I covered everything. I wish I didn't. Of course, you can see it always flush after I cover. The volume was so low and so illiquid. When I covered, it popped a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, it's probably gonna pop back up to VWAP and I can reshort. Nope, didn't happen. This stock, I've noticed that in the past, every time it holds on the upside due to volatility, when it unholds, it always sell off for at least some sort of retracement. So that's exactly what I was looking for. Also, the news was that they had to offer $13.5 billion in compensation to the wildfire victims. That seems like more negative news to me than positive. So that's why I was shorting $7.20s pop and anticipating the $7 wash, and that's why I got a little 20-cent scalp. So the one that everyone was talking about, APDN, actually didn't partake at all with this one. No, 800,000 shares float. There were so many factors about the stock that just made me want to avoid it altogether. In hindsight, of course, I wish I loaned. Everything is clear in hindsight. I've been hurt many times trading something like this, and it's just not the kind of risk I want to take. So I have no regrets not taking this. Okay, so gonna do a recap on some plays on the day, some very nice pre-market plays, long and short. So let's talk about it. So APDN, as you guys remember, yesterday I didn't play it long or short at all. First of all, I was actually more short biased, but there were no shares to short at all, and I couldn't long this kind of stock because this stock, APDN, it was up on no news, it was low float, and the fact that they had so much dirt on their SEC filings and they had an outstanding S3. They were trying to raise, I think, $100 million. I couldn't long something like this. They were just too risky. All it takes is one PSTV and CAPR intraday offering, which this stock did, the next day pre-market, right? This is the kind of stuff that could have happened intraday. A lot of people made money on this stock, APDN long, and that's great. I just personally couldn't do it because this doesn't fit my risk parameters. So today, I woke up early, I still couldn't find any shorts, and then they did the offering, right? You can see the stock dropped from $16 to pre-market. So, if you were long overnight, you pretty much blew up. So the reason I bounced it, actually long this, at the bottom around 470s and 490s is because the offering price was $525. So this stock did a pre-market offering priced at $225 for $12 million offering. So the reason I long this is because, first of all, it's pre-market dump. Pre-market dump from $12 to $450s, and the offering price was $525. So that's the reason I call this dumpster diving. I'm just longing for a quick little scalp bounce. The fact that this happened pre-market means, to me, that at the open, it's likely gonna bounce, right? This kind of drop from 12 to 4, it has to bounce on shorts covering, and also the offering price was again $525. So that's why I longed, risking $4. It's a risky play, I know, that's why you need to size according to your risk, but it was a small size just for a little bounce play. As you can see, I sold into the pop at $570, a little $1 a share. It's pretty nice, small size, but still, I wasn't gonna hold it for the bounce to $8 because it just wasn't gonna happen. So the next one I want to talk about is another big one, NSYS. Okay, this one I was much more willing to long this because I actually couldn't find anything dilutive in their SEC filings. The last S3 registered was in 2002, so that's over 10 years ago. Not saying they can't use it, just not as likely. And the stock was also low float. The volume was extremely strong pre-market and also at the open. So that's why I was much more open to long this on the front side. As you can see, I longed pre-market after the volume came in and I longed this, and I see that on the daily chart there was a lot of room. After it cleared, this 525 has room to 550s and then 650s and then 7 and 8. So that's why there was a lot of upside, and I know my clear risk. My risk was clearly 525 and ultimately 480s, right? And I was longing the front side, and with momentum and enough volume, this thing is more likely to push. Not pushing how high, I don't know, and that's why you have to always sell into the pushes. You can see I longed here, sold some here, and then rebought some on the dips here, and then sold majority into the spike here, and then majority into the open. And here I longed the first wash, right? This is what we call the washout long because the shorts were bent upside down trying to short this. Pre-market NSYS was actually easy to borrow. So a lot of people were snagging all the shorts available everywhere on all the cheap brokers. It's probably gonna squeeze first before the eventual dump, right? I was long here, sold the majority, and I longed the first washout because the thesis was that the shorts are gonna use the first wash to cover. So that's the whole idea about the washout long. Washout longs, I'm not gonna try to hold it to $8 for a home run. No, I longed it and I was selling into every single push. And I had one last bit which got stopped out here. So I did give back a little bit of profit. And after I seeing the curl, this is where I tried to long the reclaim. As you can see, when I see that $5 was holding and the volume coming in, that's where I got long. And I was selling into the pushes. Like I wasn't gonna try to aim for another $6.50, $7. Like no, like this is not as risky as a dumpster diving on ADPN, because this stock I couldn't find any dilution, but it's just a low float squeeze play. And this one, I tried to do the same thing here. I see it break above VWAP with solid volume. I was trying to see if there's continuation to $6.50 and then retest $7 eventually. But when I see all these wicks, like just couldn't break through, every time it tries to push, someone slams it back down. So that's why I know, okay, like this has so much selling pressure from the upside here, it's not gonna hold this VWAP and like squeeze. So I actually sold all my longs here and I flipped short on my other account. After I got out of my long, remember, on my other account, on this VWAP reclaim, that's when I got in short actually. I could only locate really small size. It was really hard to borrow even on trade zero. I only got about quarter size. And I used, only a quarter of the quarter size. So somebody do the math for me. I can't do math. It was just a tiny little short scalp from 608 down to 560s. So that's what 50 cents, just a tiny scalp. So after I got out, I just kind of had this on all day, just watching this with no long or short positions. And I saw that this was consolidating about $5. So somebody sold 400,000 shares on this 3-minute candle breakdown. This candle was such a violent breakdown. It broke $5, 520s, $5, and also 482. All the support from intraday. So that's a signal for me to go short and slamming the bid on the way down. You can see this kind of selling volume is significantly higher than all the consolidation candles. Couple of really other ones. AMRN was a long play from yesterday. I didn't play it, but it was on the watch list yesterday. Really strong breakout candle on the daily charts, as you can see. It was gapping up to 2180s, and there was a significant resistant daily pivot line around 2180s. So that's why I was shorting, risking that area. I started in here and added even bigger here. And after I see it start, after it pops to 2180s and starts flushing, even pre-market, that's when I know, okay, my thesis is correct. So that's why I held all the way till market open and covering into all the washes. You can see cover. I didn't bottom tick, I couldn't do it, but the best cover was here. And I re-shorted on the pop to retest red to green. The first retest, it's likely to fail, right? So that's why I shorted into it, added into it more short, and I covered the entire re-short here. I'm glad I covered and not waiting for 2050s, because you can see this immediately spiked back up and rebounded to red to green. So it was a really nice trade on AMRN short. The other one, this one's a loser on the day, DDOG. It was an earnings play. The daily charts breakout was looking extremely bullish to me, and that's why I longed the dip here. I'm happy about my entry, but my exit could have been a lot better. I was sold some into this pop. I only sold 1/8 size. I was trying to see if it can retest the highs, because on the daily it has room to $42. But as you can see, I didn't set my stops tight enough, right? And also this was really far away from VWAP, so I shouldn't have been that patient if my risk was gonna be the VWAP level. So I got out too late. So it was a nice little green trade, but after this tiny, I got stopped out here finally. This trade turned out to be red. So let's talk about the loser on the day first, ROKU short. So I was shorting pre-market, risking the red to green line. Shorted pre-market, shorting the pops, and then covered the majority here, and keeping my risk tight. The idea is that the stock has been up for 4 days straight. I was thinking today's gonna be a day of profit taking, but I was wrong. But, I was really tight with my risk, and I was paying myself on the dips, just some to make sure I'm not super red. But, after the covers, I was happy with the way I cut my trade. I'm still red on this trade, but that's okay because the risks and everything was pre-planned. And next one is another gap on the day, XCUR. So this one, I actually longed it and then ended up shorting it with my other broker. This one I traded along because I was thinking if $3 holds, it can retest the pre-market highs. You can see I didn't buy right at the open. I waited for the dip towards $3. I got in at 305, 304. I was thinking it's gonna bounce back and retest the highs, but it was extremely heavy, and that's why I got out for like break even, like 4 cents. It was nothing. It was a starter size, trying to add and trying to work on my long games, especially on this kind of setup, but the stock just kind of sold off. The other trades were trades on my trade zero account where I was shorting. Oh, not this one. XCUR. So I shorted after I saw how hard $3 rejected, and I shorted here. And in hindsight, I wish I added back here, but I was thinking some retest the highs here, then that's the spot I'm more willing to add to my bigger size. Shorted here, not the best entry, but I had a lot more to add. I was thinking I'm just gonna retest the opening area, and then that's the area for me to add. 310s to 314s will be ideal. Didn't get there, and when I saw how hard it was slamming, and then this time around breaking down the previous lows, that's when I added. Pretty nice solid day. A lot of base hits, nothing big like yesterday, but base hits do add up to a very nice solid day. Okay, very exciting Friday, lots of action. I started out with AMRN. This stock was actually halted for the entire Thursday. Remember, I shorted on Wednesday, and today I was coming in short with the same thesis, right? The stock finally unhalted today around 7 a.m. market time, and it was actually gapped up after the unhold from 21.50 to 23.23. So the plan was, also on the daily, was gapping up to near all-time highs at 23.80s. So the plan was to scale in short, small size pre-market and add when it pops to all-time highs. You can see it popped to all-time highs at 23.84, and that's where I added. And pre-market, I was actually a little bit worried. Like, that's why I covered a small piece here just in case. I was thinking, okay, I don't know if I can withstand the risk from 20, I think I had about 22.90s average to 23.90s. I don't know if I can withstand $1 risk, and that's why I covered a little bit. But, like, I rethought my thesis. I was like, like, I'll put it back on just a little bit and leaving me even more room to add. And that's what I did. I trade according to my plan, added, and if it reclaims 23.90s after the add with really strong volume, I'm going to have to cover it for $1 loss, right? Like, you have to consider whether you're okay to withstand that loss. And I thought about it. I thought about, the risk reward in terms of upside and downside. And I decided that I'm willing to take that risk. So that's something you always have to pre-plan and not something you just decide after the fact, right? So I added to full size and started flushing right away after the add. And that's why I covered in pieces, cover, and then I reshorted after seeing how volatile and how much selling there was. And that's why I reshorted and I covered everything here. I wasn't convinced to hold it all the way down to $21 because I remember when I was shorting it Wednesday, how fast it recovered from the wash and reclaimed and went red to green. And this stock has a tendency to do that. It's a biotech. It's really volatile. It has a tendency to hold the lows multiple times and go red to green, which, it could possibly do later on today. But I'm all done with this trade. The next one is SLS. So this one is a recent reverse split that I've been tracking, and they actually started running near the end of the day yesterday. So if the PR had came out pre-market, it would have been a different story. But pre-market, it just gapped up to $8 and immediately dumped, right? And on the daily chart, this is a reverse split, so you have to check on stock charts to see the actual daily chart reflecting all the reverse split prices. But basically, there was highs around $8. You can see up here. It was highs around $8 and resistance at $8, 750s. And this is actually the lows on the daily charts. So that's why I was shorting the pop at the market open, but I wasn't convinced it's going to continue selling off to 540s, right? They had the upgrade by Maxim, but very, very interesting. They were also the ones doing the underwriting for the offering. So, this is legal manipulation, right? Oh, and another really good one that happened near the middle of the day is KERN. KERN. KERN, this was, a downtrending chart. Also, was it a low float with 5 million or 3 million shares? I remember getting hurt on this back here, right? That's why I'm not gonna make the same mistake again. And I was actually long. It's a classic buying the dip after a halt, you know, like it was easy to borrow on many brokers, and that's why I was thinking, okay, many people who are short, they're bent upside down, they're gonna take the first dip to cover, and that's the idea, right? And that's why I bought into this dip. And also this 530s area, well, it was up here. There was some daily support around here, and that's what I'm using the risk of. 530s, 540s area, and that's why I dipped it here. And I was selling into the pops. I wasn't gonna hold it to potentially go to 7 and 9. It could, but it has to prove to hold above VWAP multiple times. And that's why I sold some here, and I'm selling in the most into these breakout around $6. You can see there's a lot of resistance here around, you know, 640s, 650s, and then 660s. So that I wasn't gonna hold all the way up, and was taking advantage of the buying volume on this breakout to sell into the breakout. So a nice little midday scalp. The last one is a short on PSTV. It's very interesting because I was just talking about PSTV last night during the recap. So PSTV was gapping up due to better than expected earnings yesterday. Right away, you should be looking at the daily chart and how much dilution it's been doing since this candle. And there's so much overhead on the daily. So that's why I was more short bias on this stock. It has to hold $3 in order to have more potential to push, but you can see it's stuffed really hard around our pre-market highs. I didn't have the best short entries. I was shorting here at $3 and I covered some into the wash, and I was ready to add onto the spikes towards 340s, and it never got there, so I never got filled. And you could say that, oh, I should have shorted here. And yeah, in hindsight, I should have. But, you know, I was trying to be more careful with this. So you can see my ads here, and my last ads were up here around 340s. And I was covering into the wash. And now it's dumping hard. So a very nice, so small caps being very hot this week. Very nice follow through, lots of momentum. I'm really happy to see it. You definitely don't have to be able to short to make money. As you can see, there's a lot of opportunities like KERN and NYSY in which you can long on the front side as well. So there's opportunities for everyone. If you have questions, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.